Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. I'm going to demonstrate multiple ways in which you can hang a quilt. You can have tabs on the top. I'll show you two different ways to put them on. And then you can have a sleeve on the back. Okay, let's get started. This is a small sample of a quilt that I'm going to use for this demonstration. I'm going to show you how to measure for a sleeve. So turn it over to the back. Place the rod down that you want to use to hang it on. And I'm going to turn this to the side so that you can see where I am measuring. Turn it a little more. So take a tape measure and you're going to place the tape measure right underneath the binding. So my little 0 starts right there. So that's the 0. And I'm going to put this on over the top of the rod and down. Now it measures about 3 inches. So I'm going to go up to 4. So I'm going to cut the width of my strip 4 inches. Then you want to measure, let me turn it around so you can see a little better. So place the 0 on your tape measure on this side of the binding and go all the way across. And this says 17, so I'm measuring right up to that edge of the binding. I'm going to go up to 18 to cut the length of my strip. So it's going to be 4 inches wide by 18 inches long. Now this is just a small version. Remember, your numbers are going to be different. You might have a large quilt or just a small sampler piece like that. So let's pretend this is my strip. I'm going to fold the 2 shorter ends over 1/4 inch and press. Fold the other end again and press. And do the same thing at this end. And then stitch close to this inside folded edge on both ends. Now take your 2 longer edges and repeat that step. Fold it over 1/4 inch and press. Fold it again over 1/4 inch and press. And again, you do it on this side too. And then stitch along this inside edge on both sides. Now, this particular quilt of mine has what we call flange quilt binding. It just has an extra little yellow piece right in there. And right below the binding is where I have stitched. So wherever your stitch line is what you're going to focus on in the back. So right here is my stitch line. See it right in there. So you're going to take your sleeve and place it right underneath the binding, and then make sure it's centered this way, and then pin it down all the way along here. So after pinning it down, then turn it over to where you see the front. And then using whatever color of thread matches the fabric you're stitching on. For instance, I'm going to use yellow. So stitch right in there, right next to the binding, all the way from one side to the other. Now here's one that's all done where I have it stitched on up at the top. So you can see that when I stitched it down, because I stitched right on top of that line from the front side, it was able to catch all of this. Now I'm going to show you how to stitch the bottom edge down. Using a hand needle and thread, put a knot at the end of the thread and insert the needle underneath your strip in the corner and pull it through. Now, if you're left-handed, you would go to the other side and start. I'm trying to help you those that are right-handed, because most of you are, even though I'm left-handed. So I'm doing it upside down. All right, so now you don't want these stitches to show through on the front. So insert your needle just in the fabric that's on the back. Doesn't have to be a real tiny stitch. And then go up underneath your strip and pull. And I'm going to move this piece of fabric so it catches around on that side. There we go. Now go underneath, again catch the fabric, go through the strip of fabric and pull it through. Let me repeat that a couple of more times. And catch the fabric underneath, go underneath the strip and pull. And you can make your stitches closer together if you want. I wouldn't make them any farther apart than what I'm doing here. And you would do that all the way across, and then when you got to the end, do about 3 stitches in the same place to hold it there. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to make the tab tops. So I've cut mine 2.5 inches wide by 16 inches long. And with the wrong side of your fabric facing up, I also call it the back side or not so pretty side, take the ends and fold them over and press. And I folded them over about 1/4 inch and press. Now flip it over and fold it in half. Let me bring this around this way. So line up the edges at the bottom here and along the side. And then place a few pins to hold and stitch a 1/4 inch seam on this side all the way up to the top, and repeat that over here, a 1/4 inch wide seam. So after stitching, here I've got those 2 ends, they're folded over so you can see where they are. Now after stitching, you're going to just open this up and turn it front side out. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I've got it all the way out. Here's my opened end. Once you've got it turned front side out, then go ahead and press it flat. So here's one of the tabs I'm going to put on this quilt. And this is the easiest way to put it on. The other way isn't hard at all, but this is just a little bit easier. So now fold it in half and place it, let me move this over, right up here at the top. So just lay your tabs out to see how many you're going to need. And you can place them 3 or 4 inches apart. I don't recommend having one at just each end because if it's a large quilt, it's going to sag. So again, remember that stitch line that you have on the back side that you did from on the front side? Go ahead and pin these down and then turn it over. And then again, stitch right on that line that you stitched this binding down, right along here. Now, if you want a tab where it's folded over to the front and you have a little button to hold it down, here's how you do it. Real easy. Here's my open end. You want that one on the back. So again, place it just below that stitch line where you want it. Turn it over to the front side and stitch right along there. Now turn it over to the front, bring the other part of the tab down wherever you want to position it. I usually like to, if there's any type of a strip of fabric up here, I might bring it down to maybe 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and then take your button, place it on top, and stitch the button down. Now here's one that I did a long time ago. This is called Attic Window. And so you can see you can have really large buttons or you can use the little flower buttons. There's all types of craft buttons out there. So you can find your craft buttons at some Walmart stores, not all, or you can go to other craft stores and look for buttons, or even go on the internet, Amazon, Etsy.com. There's a lot of places out there. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you learned something new. It was a viewer that had requested that I do this. I did something like this a long time ago, so I decided to make a more updated version and show you all the different ways that you can do this. Now, if you're interested in quilt projects, check below your YouTube screen for those video links. You want to scroll down to the description section, click on the word more, and then that section will expand open and you will see all of the links appearing. Now don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.